Today, there are a lot of our students here and people who consulted us, but a special greeting to those, unfortunately I don't know exactly, who came from other cities and even countries, and we are very pleased. Thank you very much that you showed an interest in numerology. I'm very pleased there are so many people today. It's a big present for me that there are so many spectators, because numerology wasn't so popular even a year ago as it is today. And believe me, together we'll do a lot to become professional in numerology, and our country will sound in this sphere proudly. We returned from Thailand so that numerology will sound here exactly in Russia, and today you'll understand why. We'll look at the karmas today, and you understand that karma isn't only punishing mother, as it's often interpreted, but firstly, it's meant people who came with this program. You'll learn how to see it. But as you understand, it's not a complete course on karma. You need to pass 2 levels to be aware of the subject, but you'll understand a lot even today, thanks to those skills I'll teach you today. Plus, our TV viewers have more options. They can pause a video and listen to any blogs they like. You'll have this opportunity next week and watch this video on our website. We struggle with our colleagues and people who unfortunately treat karma incorrectly. People think that karma can be erased for $300 in India or other organizations. It's impossible. Karma is a scar which is with us every incarnation, and thanks to God there is this scar, and you'll see why. Everyone has injured, burned, cut in your life, and you have scars. What is it for? Every time you see the scar, you'll remember that situation and won't let it happen again. Lots of my students know that problem starts with the first paragraph, and the first paragraph is the mistake of the past incarnation. On the first year, we learn to count it, and today you'll learn your mistakes of the past incarnation. As soon as you behave the same as you did in the past incarnation, your scar makes itself felt. It's not accidentally I say scar, scar, scar. Many people go to ashrams in India, Thailand, and other Eastern countries, and many of you even don't understand what this word means. But if you look at the letters as a human knowing, passing knowledge, shram, it is karma. So in these ashrams, you must get information about your karma, but you must work with karma on your own. And nobody, not religious people, not politicians, and moreover occult specialists, they never had rights to take off this scar from your body. Those who learn esotericism know it on the energetic level. But when you go to the ashram, the first question you have to ask the teacher is what is karma, and that's enough. And if you try to erase it somehow, you'll fail and even get extra negative points for your karma. You must remember it. And when we have a look at the birth date of any fictional personage, we'll learn to look at every element of a birth date. You can write it down or store it on the context, but however, let's start with the learning karma itself. Today we'll learn a lot of material, and it'll help you not only to elicit your mistakes, but also help your relatives. So let's take any date. For example, March the 16th, 2016. It's today's date. I wrote the date, but in fact, what will we need to define karma? Only this element. The year is not essential yet. Of course, at the seminars we look into karma deeply and learn the whole context. We take time, a birth, city, it gives us more information on what the person did in the past incarnation and how he will work off his mistake, through what, and so on. I've already said karma consists of positive and negative signs. On the positive aspect there are 3 signs, on the negative 5. Every sign has 5 levels, and we learn it during our seminars. But now you need to know only the first level. It's a mistake of the past incarnation. Let's look at it. The first thing you do when you see the birth date, you look at the month. It's the first. Why? Firstly, this figure is responsible for lots of aspects. But we need to understand the reason a human came to the kin, his authentic kin. The purpose of his coming, his programs to work off, what he must give to his kin. So we start from the first month, January. Children born in January must work off their relationships with brothers and sisters. It's 100% that in this family there should be one more member of the family. If there isn't any, it's a big problem for this human. When we come from the past incarnation, and if we live on earth, we have a mistake of the past incarnation. We aren't saint. And if there is this sign, so there are signs that we need to work off, all the children who came on karma programs to families, it's January, April and May, we'll look at them a bit later, have the contracts with the highest force in astral. Their main task is to pass the course rapidly. That's why they are spiritually rich. Those who bought our book can define your code in matrix on page 138. We also elicit in this book how to define your soul age in matrix. I've already told you that people must live on earth 10,000 years. People born in January have the highest soul age. It starts from 7,000 years and more. Just imagine, a child born in January is more mature spiritually and intellectually than his or her parents. As a rule, this child is 2,000 or 3,000 years older, and he or she faces an essential task to help brothers or sisters to work off mistakes of the past incarnation. And what does it mean? It's on the surface. A brother or a sister isn't sane. This karma is very hard. Thus, relationships with brothers or sisters will be maximally difficult, and it's important to make them even. Moreover, it's not so that this child must serve brothers or sisters, no, but he or she must be close and help at the moment. January children are keen on intellectual development, and they marry an intellectually grown person. According to the matrix, they are on the 4th level of the development, and their soul age is old enough, so the spouse must be on the same level, not lower. The next is February. People born in February came to their grandparents. As in the past incarnation, they were lack of mercy and kindness. And today grandparents must forward them their skills, how to treat close people. As a rule, these people have grandparents with diseases to work off their programs. So if they don't look after grandparents, they will have difficulties in their lives. They can have sick children or problems in their private life, problems with health, problems with spouses. So it's better to work off the negative programs in childhood, when they have more energy and their protection of the highest force is stronger. February children are close to home. You need to teach them household duties. It'll be easier for them to implement themselves in their family lives. And it'll be easier for them in the future. My children, as in our example, are mothers' children, mothers' daughters and sons. Here we see a big responsibility for mothers, as they must forward the main information to this child. In the past incarnation, this child couldn't make decisions. wasn't determined and made a lot of mistakes in respect to the close people. In this incarnation, he got a conductor. It's a mother. But a mother in the childhood feels a big connection and power over the child and often uses it. Those who took part in our seminars know that this period lasts 40-45 years. Imagine a 40-year-old man who listens to his mother attentively, and his mother feels this energy and uses it. A lot of families of my children are destroyed because of this reason. Thus, if you notice your friend or colleague in this situation, you should warn their mother to be tender. As concerns the April children, it's again karma. These children came to work off their father's mistakes, and you should understand that the father isn't saint. Before this child's birth, these were violations in space laws, the law of will freedom, the law of pressure, and others. And now, exactly this child is responsible for his father to correct his karma. I've already said that if the father doesn't understand and Archangel showed him he wasn't right for the first time, the second time showed he wasn't right, but nevertheless the father keeps making mistakes, and we have a solidarity responsibility as in law. And the April child is solidarity with the highest force and understands at the moment of coming into the body that he or she is responsible for the father. And at this very moment, this child is beaten on karma for the father's doings. So it's easier to help the father to correct mistakes from the past, and in the future it's necessary to help not to make these mistakes. Moreover, these children have problematic relationships with the father. It's logical, as everything comes with labor. So in this situation, no insults, no disagreements with the father, only diplomacy, tolerance, and of course, if the relationships between the parents are bad, for example, they divorced when the child was little, the child doesn't need to look for the father. But when the life of this child is broken, it's meant that you haven't completed your responsible part in karma. May children came to mothers. The same karmic connection, but only with mothers. People say that May children suffer, and you know that a mother isn't saint. She made a lot of mistakes, and this child came to share with her the solidarity responsibility. These relationships are tensed, hard, but you need to show tolerance and diplomacy and try to restore them. No insults to the mother. Moreover, May children have a responsibility in karma as April and January children. And if you don't know the program the highest force put in front of the mother, and if she keeps making mistakes, this karmic strike will hurt you. Moreover, May children may have bad relationships with their children because you haven't worked out your relationships with your mother. The next is June. In June, children in the past incarnation didn't have a family. Either they didn't have the opportunity to have a family or they didn't want to have one. Maybe because of work or another reason. In this incarnation, they are given a family where relationships between the parents are quite difficult. Their task is to make a choice whether to join the mother's side or the father's. Who is right in these relationships, and to understand which roles are divided between a woman and a man. But the main is to reconcile the parents and to find a compromise between the parents. This is their main task. If they don't do it and their parents keep on arguing, unfortunately their private life won't be successful. Even if there is a marriage, it's doomed to a divorce, because their task is to build relationships with the spouse correctly. The next month is July. The task of these children isn't easy. It's to move their family to a new place of living, another city or a country. If the child is born in July, the highest force gives the exact instructions because this family has a routine life. 7 is a chariot and you need to go somewhere. But this child must move not only himself, but also to make somebody from the family move to another city or country. As a rule, these people have business trips or they marry somebody from another country or city. And they should agree with these conditions and think about moving to another country. But if they move alone, their marriage is doomed. They need to take any member of their kin to their place of living. But there is a loophole on this code. 7 is the Neptune. And if they decide to stay at the place they live, they must develop intellectually to exceed their parents' intellectual level. It's easier, but it's the lowest plan. Next goes August. It's 8. Justice. That's why these children have conflicts in their families. Even if that's the beginning of their marriage and the child is conceived and the baby is born in August, it means that the parents made the wrong choice. They had to have another spouses, and this child joins the parents for some time. And the child's task as of the 6th month to find a compromise between parents. But here the relationships are more conflicting. And if the child doesn't learn how to seize the arguments between their parents, then he or she will have problems in the private life. There are problems in the future. What if this child has got a conflict with another child from this family? These are any conflicts between grandparents, between a child and brothers or sisters. Anyway, these are conflicts. 8 is a conflicting sign. That's why this child must find compromises and reconcile the sides. These people are brilliant lawyers. If they in childhood lose their code and come to August at the age of 25 and more until 32 years old, they play their script, they become brilliant lawyers, attorneys, people who feel edges between relationships. Moreover, when counting the past incarnation, we see these children were lawyers, attorneys, judges, and they feel the experience from the past. They have the experience. September children are the most talented. People say that these are winter children, but no, they are September. Winter? September children. We are numerologists, and September is 9. Those who can count levels of the astral body. We have the video on YouTube, and you can restore this information. These children have a very strong astral body. 9 is on the astral. These children get the maximum talent from their kin, as a rule extrasensory. Those who know Alexandrov's system, you know 9 is September, year 19,000 gives us 9 2 times, and it's a high potential to get 9 3 times in the psychometric square. And those who know the birth map, our students know it, they understand that 9 2 times is a creative thinking. This person is creative, and he or she has a way to the higher sensorial level. That's why among 9s, there are lots of talented people, and parents should reveal it. And the main task of numerologists, astrologists, physiognomists, palmists is what? To recognize this talent. This child is able to praise his kin, and it's the main task. 10 isn't a simple sign. 10 is one of the strongest egregor in tarot, and numerology as it means finances. This child came to this world to multiply his or her kin's wealth, but the child must get the right to inherit. In the childhood, such children treat their parents incorrectly. They want to inherit too early, and lots of them, especially if they have fraudsters, arrows, who knows, I don't remember personally you, but nevertheless, if there are arrows of barratry, will learn how to count all these things. Of course, these children can misuse it and have conflicts with parents on the item of money too early. As you noticed, October people look at life in a mercantile way. But why so? Because their task is to get property from their kin and to pass it multiplied. And their main mistake, firstly in the childhood, is conflictive behavior towards their parents. This is the first. And secondly, in the adult period, when they inherit, they have a problem how to use it. And very often they sell property, but it's a mistake that mustn't be made. From this very moment, all their problems begin. Yes, you have the right to sell, but do you remember the task? It's to multiply the wealth of the kin. It's a great responsibility. You can sell by investing your money, or you can reconstruct the apartment and sell it for the higher price and buy something bigger for this money. If you break the rule, you are deprived of all this money, your work. Because archangels give you the money to support your family, to support your kin. It's for you to help your family. You owe your kin, you know why? Let's look at karma again. Many of you know that we incarnate in our future children's bodies. Those who bought our book and people who attend our seminars know that we must live in one incarnation 192 years. Look, we have 2016. It's a birth year of a person. To identify the birth of the past incarnation, we must subtract 192 from 2016. I got 1824. It's a birth year of a person in the past incarnation. Thus you can count your past year of birth. Repeat one more time. 2016 is the year when a person was born in this incarnation. In the past incarnation, this person had been born 192 years before. Thus, we subtract 192 from 2016, and it is 1824. This is the birth year of a person in the past incarnation. And now a secret about the future incarnation. You have to plus 192. It's 2208. This is the future incarnation. So you can count your past incarnations and see what historical events you witnessed. Nowadays, we have children who lived in the past incarnation during the First World War. A little bit later, we'll see how it'll influence their karma. It'll be very clearly seen. And now you can understand which karma you can transfer to the future. October children will incarnate in the fourth generation after themselves, as a rule in the same kin. Why so? Because we have ethereal cover. It doesn't let the molecules to fly away, and it keeps the same shape that was in the past incarnation and which will be in the future incarnation. There are questions with plump people, but nevertheless the same appearance. What is responsible for our appearance in the physical body? DNA molecule, genetics. That's why we incarnate in the same kin to have the same genetics. The inheritance you give to your children will be multiplied and you'll be born in the wealthy kin. If you didn't give anything to your descendants, or you didn't bring them up in the way they could give something to their descendants, you have the high risk to be born in the future homeless or very poor. So it's very essential to monitor the heirs. It's not only important to pass, but to pass it to the child who will multiply. This is your responsibility, October people. Their problem is that they destroy the property. For example, a grandmother or a grandfather will be born in their children, and they didn't get the inheritance. Thus, this child didn't take care of his ancestors. It's irresponsible. He didn't care about his close people. Next is November. Also, the task isn't easy for such children. They came to raise the status of their kin. For example, parents were employees, so this child's task is to be a director. So these people should think about profession that can give a status. A profession of a manager, administrator, and so on. But these children are good at sports. They like obstacles, They don't like smooth life. They think there is a trap. That's right, as they must struggle and resist because there are no other ways to reach the high status for their kin, for their family. In a negative situation, these signs show themselves as aggressive people, as they can't reach the status, as there is no deserving rival, or there are barriers in front of these people. That's why you should involve these children into sport so that they could spend their energy on the sport's rival. And December children came to none and don't owe anything to anybody. If you look at the matrix, you'll see why. These children aren't older than 1,500 years. The souls are young and they just come from the Venus and have just had their lessons there. So there are no tasks. Their parents are 5,000 or 6,000 years older than these children. And of course they are given concessions, but there is a secret. Those who know numerology understand that the 12th arcanum means hanged. These children behave remotely, as they remember from the previous incarnation. They don't have close spiritual relationships with the parents. They have the feeling they lived on the other planet and had another parents. That's why the further we move in December from the 1st to the 20th or 30th, the more these knots are untied with the past incarnation and they become Earth people. The best profession for them is public. There are lots of journalists, news presenters, actors among them. What's interesting here? Let's look. When they move from the first to the second cycle and get under the 12th sign, they are always put into an uncomfortable and hanging situation. The life takes the ground from under their feet, takes away their work, personal life, and that's the time to go to the parents for help. Not to be shy, but ask for help, and only their parents can help them. What's the problem? They didn't make contact with parents in the childhood. Being children, they told their parents they would deal with the problem themselves, and they didn't need help. And when these children come to their parents, they will answer, "You can do it yourself. You're responsible." That's why it's very important to understand in the childhood what programs are in front of you. And you, as people who consult and help, should check whether this person has completed the program for the kin or not. It's not accidentally that we are born in the particular kin, as we have tasks in front of this kin. And a little bit later I'll teach you what kin egregors you have. We'll learn how to count them at the first course. Every kin has its talents. Somebody was born in the kin of surgeons, and by the way, we have already checked someone of you is of the priestly kin. It means that this kin is more than 100,000 years old, and esotericism is the best way for the development. It's the female line. As soon as you identify the kin egregor, you can orientate your clients, friends, or relatives. After the month and the purpose of coming into the kin, we pay attention at the date of birth. Here you need to identify the managing planet. I beg your pardon again. I pay your attention to our book. We write here about managing planets. You know, in Vedic numerology, we identify the managing planet by the sum of the first and the second sign. But in fact, Vedic numerology, I don't know why, whether because of the unawareness or incorrectness, doesn't point to the fact that some signs have several managing planets. And here is easy to explain. We have a set of figures. One of our students is preparing a lecture now with us about confrontation of the Vedic culture and science, and will prove that gods in Vedic culture are the images of physical phenomena. Now, for example, Perun is ether. We have lectures on this theme and you can attend them. And if you know that every managing planet is divided, and we show in our book how it influences, and you can identify with the help of the book, there's a picture how the managing planet influences. and the figure is C, authentic form of Ra, the form of energy. As you know, in the Bible and in Vedic culture, it's stated that God created this world and it exists on the figure code, matrix code. And the final number of figures is 9. And there are no more figures. And here we have numbers. They are summations of figures. Thus we lose energy. That's why the first 9 numbers in the birth date have the maximum energetics and are managed by one planet that you can identify at the Vedic numerology school. The others have another meaning. Let's talk about it. So if the figure is the authentic form of Ra, then it must mean something, right? And here there's a detail. You don't know. Those who were born on the 06, the first is 0, we never throw away any figures, all of them carry the meaning. This 0 means that the person in the past incarnation completed the task. Of course, there is a chance he or she completed the task not qualitatively. Maybe he or she gained karmic knots. It's another question, but the task is completed. And you know, in psychometrics, if we have the fourth figure 6, this is the sign of the king closing. It doesn't act if there is 0 in the birth date. It's not the sign of the king closing for the person who has 6 as the fourth figure. Who has 10 as the fourth figure, you know, according to Alexandrov's, that is a cancer disease. It won't work if there is 0. Why do the diseases work out? According to Alexandrov's system, when we are counting the low line, we get 10, for example, or 6. We have it in the book, and you can find it there. Where can I buy this book? Here in the shop. Unfortunately, all the books are sold, but there are several here. So you have to understand, if you saw 10 or 6, you have to warn your client, colleague or relative. But if there is 0, don't think about it anymore. Then we have 10th. From the 10th to the 19th including, here we have 1. It means that the person completed the task for 80% in the past incarnation. Why didn't the person manage to fulfill the task? What does 1 mean at Western school? It's a leadership. I can do it myself. I don't need help. I'll manage to do it. I don't hear in other people. That's why in this incarnation this person has such signs. Many philosophers argue, what was the first, an egg or hen? What? An egg? A hen? No, the first was an egg. Let me explain. Firstly, those who attend our seminars know that our universe has a shape of an egg. Secondly, an egg is a numeral matrix which gives birth to other figures. If you add the numerals from this figure, you'll get gods. That's why people born from the 10th to the 13th including are so-called pantheon of gods. The 10th is the sun, the highest angel Swarog. The 11th sign is the moon, it's Gera. If we take mythology, the 12th sign is the Jupiter or Zeus, and the 13th is the Rahu. The strongest planet and the strongest date of birth has a person born on the 13th. There are a lot of guardians, and our videos will help you how to count the guardians. That's why these numerals from the 10th to the 13th are not karmic. They are knowledge guardians. A lot of information about them is given in the book. Guardians, according to Alexandrov, in the second line have 11 and 9, but I won't stop here now. These people completed the task for 80%. They also have an extra managing planet, but we are interested in karmic dates. From the 14th, the karmic birth dates start. A little bit later, I'll tell you cans, the 14th, 15th, 16th, and so on. Let's proceed. People born from the 20th to the 29th. According to 2, they completed the task for 60%. 2 in the past incarnation lack the kindness, mercy, help, virtue towards their close people and relatives. That's why too have the energetic on the lower level than previous signs from the 10th to 19th. These people are conducted by karmic plans. Energetic is divided into parts, but firstly they have to work out mercy towards close people. In these karmic programs go away, and the planet which is conducted by them for 2 is the moon will act 100%. But they have a small fault, and people born on the 30th and the 31st have the energetic 40% lower than born from the 20th to the 29th. Thus they are further. According to 3, these people wanted fame, praise. Such people in the past incarnation occupied creative professions, lived for others, paid too much attention to themselves, and many of them went over heads. That's why you have to understand, the nearer you are to the figure, the nearer you are to the truth, the further the more blurred your energetic. Though people born from the 14th to the 22nd have karmic programs. Now let's talk about all of them, though it's difficult. People born on the 14th abused by greed in the past incarnation. It could be greed of money, fame, praise, emotions, but as a rule it's financial greed. And in this incarnation they are given the 14th arcanum, the sign of moderation. As a rule, their childhood is rather difficult. Why? They have to learn to settle for what they have. They won't be given more love, attention, knowledge than what they are worthy. Very often your child comes from school and says, "Mother, I've learned everything, but I don't understand why the teacher gave a low mark." The child is 100% right. He or she will be always underestimated, and parents will always have no time for this child. That's why this child's task is to put aside the greed and deserve the right to be loved and get good marks, and in the future, as you understand, it's a wage. If they wish more than they have, they will remain on the 14th arcanum, which is the arcanum of poverty. You have to inspire these children from their childhood that they have to deserve other people's attention. And of course, as you understand, each birth date has its negative signs. And people born on the 14th of January, my students know what it means, have the most difficult karmic programs. The others have smoother difficulties. The next date is the 15th. It means the contract signed with the devil. The only exception is the child born on the 15th of January. The softest karma, it's an exception from the rules. More charisma and respect to this person. The other dates, especially the 15th of February, for example, or the 15th of July, have a very difficult karma. What do the people born on the 14th of January have to do? They have to take care of animals in this incarnation and do their best not to become the reason of another person's death. Unfortunately, this person in the past incarnation killed because of greed. He was a murderer. And what about the 15th of December? It's not a karmic date. People born on the 15th of February and on the 15th of July abused their sexuality in their past incarnation, could bend the laws in this field. I'm talking about the similar program as Lilith in Scorpio and Lilith in the Aries. Those who know astrology understand what I'm talking about. The others have another aspect. Either you contacted occult specialists or you were occult specialists yourself. Here it's necessary to look at the kin egregor, whether you had such abilities in the past. Thus, in the present incarnation, this person has a difficult task to make a choice whether to be on the light side or dark one. Half-tone isn't accepted by the highest force, but if you choose a light way and try to help people, such people are the best confessors, who feel in other people. You'll go through cancer, disease, for sure. It's purification for you. But if you chose a dark way, as in the past incarnation, and use fraud, deceive, destroy families, strangely, but you'll get all the presents in this life, because your task is to make people suffer in the life. Which program does this person have? And I pay your attention that you mustn't disapprove these people. There were two scientists in France who made an experiment on mice. They made a cage 1 meter square, put the mice in it, fed them properly every day. The conditions were excellent, and the scientists waited for the result in 1,500 mice in 1 year. You won't believe, but in half a year, as mice produced offspring, they started killing each other. They struggled for food, which was enough for all of them, and it means only one. Michael Cremo wrote a book, Human Devaluation. The fact is that if we aren't put into hard conditions, we'll only devolve. We won't be able to evolve as we don't have a sample of a bad behavior. If the 15th arcanum came to your life, it means you've done something negative. You have to work out this program. The marriages are karmic difficult. That's why I don't recommend to make experiments in personal life. The next is the 16th arcanum, and our date, the 16th of March, gives birth to children with the most difficult karma, as well as the people born on the 16th of August. In the past incarnation, they committed crimes, but the main thing the person did in the past incarnation is destruction. This person destroyed. March and the 16th of August. This person destroyed families, property of the other people, murdered. Thus, the main task was to deprive the other people of freedom, personal life, property. In the present incarnation, this child is given the 16th arcanum in the childhood in the birth date. Thus, in the childhood, this child will be a destroyer and will be punished by the parents quite often. As the function is to destroy, at the beginning, these children take away toys, and later they have serious conflicts with their parents. Their task, according to the 16th arcanum, is to turn it on the top, and the top is to build houses, relationships, partnerships. It's necessary to involve these people in a work as lawyers, better attorneys, engineers, real estate workers, psychologists. So if they build something, their life will be adjusted. Otherwise, they can lose property, have difficulties in loan programs, and exactly these people will get into a situation when the loan won't be repaid and they will lose much more. The 16 signs are the sign of property at School of Tarot Numerology. They have to look after the electricity in the house. They mustn't set fires, as there can be sequences, and of course to help other people, as the 16th arcanum is a very strong arcanum. The next is the 17th arcanum, and very often there are people with this arcanum at our seminars, and we are especially cautious, because in the past incarnation these people infringed copyrights. They could steal somebody's idea. You know, there is a very good American film that is called The Words. A man found a case with a manuscript and he published it under his name. You can see what happened in his life. You know, right? The best version is remorse. And the worst, it is what happened in the film. And of course, such people shouldn't post or publish writings without their authorship. These people could predict lies or add information that led the wrong way. Moreover, in the present incarnation, these people won't have an opportunity to accomplish themselves, especially in the first cycle, until 35 years old. They won't be noticed. You know, there are a lot of people who stay in a line and suddenly other people pass and say, "Wait, I'm in the line," but indeed, people don't notice them. Is it the same in the personal life? Yes, exactly the same. These people have a talent. As a rule, it's bright and open. There's a picture on the internet as an example. Two specialists are working underground, and one is close to the diamond room. Only step with hammer one more time, and the second has already done it and got the diamonds. The fact is that the 17th signs lack only one step to the fame. They come after school and say, "Mother, I told the teacher a poem, but she said I wasn't right." This child is talented, but will be restricted in the talent, as in this incarnation he or she must give a chance to other talented people. Among them, there are a lot of brilliant film directors, script writers, TV presenters, as they need to help other people to reveal their talent. But in their childhood, they are restricted. And if their parents support them, they will become famous people, but in the next cycle. Incarnation. But the parents, as a rule, don't notice their talents. It's important for you to know about them. I often say at the seminars, if a person has a talent, it's an open tap, and you only need to put a bowl and fill this person with a talent. But if this water is running all life and fills the tank, it'll become a burden for you. For example, you have money, fame, talents in some professional fields, a lot of children, yachts abroad, and so on, but you lack creative self-realization, and you'll feel miserable having everything. Thus, your task is to be creative in the present. The 18th arcanum is the most harmless from the point of view of karma. In the past incarnation, you were a fraudster, and if you were born on the 18th of August or October, you were serious criminals, and even were sentenced to prison. And I pay attention that these people should be accurate signing papers and documents, and you have a chance to be put into a prison just for one shoplifting. As karma has to work out, if in the past incarnation you didn't work your mistakes out, in the present you'll have a situation to do it. In this incarnation, it's important not to deceive. That is very difficult in our time. In the childhood, they are very artistic. They applied somebody's rules, they mimicked their parents. Why? Because in the past incarnation, these people used to do fraud. In the mature age, they realized they have to stop, as their deception is always on the surface. From this very moment, they understand, and now their life is cardinally changed. But nevertheless, the 18th arcanum has a very simple karma. People born on the 18th of March led sects or other religious institutions. Thus, in the present incarnation, there is a big possibility to be involved to the sects, but not as leaders, but as novices of any sect or any religious institutions. What is the percentage of being involved? It's necessary because of the matrix. No, I mean the 17th. I'm talking about the 18th. Yes. What is the percentage? For March, it is 100%. I'll explain why. You have a wheel of samsara that consists of 52 cells. I wrote in the books why so. And you getting into a cell, it's identified by the day and the month of birth. The year doesn't mean anything. You get your ready karma in this cell, at least your past incarnation mistake. And you have to understand that you have to work it out. We have the highest sides, dark and light, and the highest dark sides will create such conditions so that you make the same mistake as in the past incarnation in your present incarnation. And they did it all these things. And if a person was born at exactly 12 a.m., No, 12 a.m. exactly is impossible, as there are seconds. Seconds? Yes, seconds mean a lot. We look at the seconds. If there are two people born on the 18th, are they the same? No, they have different time and place of birth, kin egregor, but they have the same mistake from the past incarnation. The only thing when we unroll the whole karma, but we have a limitation today. We talk about all aspects at the seminars. And today we talk in general about a person who led a religious, occult institutions. But what exactly, where, and so on is seen according to the karma, to his karma. Where, in the country, which country. Why are there 52 cells in the wheel of samsara? It's an independent lecture. I'll explain. It is from the point of view of genetics. I speak about it at the lectures and you can watch a video or buy our book. It's genetics. The next is the 19th. People born on the 19th, 100% were directors of some state organizations, or as it's popular now, they were businessmen. They had power. The 19th sign is the sign of power. In the present incarnation, they'll be given power, but only if they move from the 19th sign to the lowest level. On this level, it's to inspire people, to make good acts, not to pressure the people. Sometimes these people like giving an advice when they aren't asked to do that. They want to take part, to participate. They call and say, you have to do this and this. It's because of their past incarnation, when they were directors and powerful. But now they need to achieve it, and if they only one time behave aggressively towards their colleagues or employees and moreover relatives, they won't be let into the world of power. Anyway, these people live brightly and rarely think about ethics when they talk. You should work out this program correctly in the very childhood. People born on the 20th had a betrayal in the kin or kin traditions. Nowadays, especially in the 2000s, every second people break the kin traditions. Firstly, relationships before marriage. It's a law break of the kin. People don't continue their parents' crafts. It's also a law break and the break of the kin tradition. But nevertheless, we are born in one and the same kin. I repeat it again and again. So your main task is to descend. And what else? What do you think? Of course, children. You must have procreation. Often, according to the 20th Arcanum, children come with genetic deviations. People ask me a lot what they mean from the point of view of esotericism. The answer is simple. In the past incarnation, this child didn't procreate, and for the next incarnation, as according to the will of samsara, he or she must learn the lessons. This child is given to the other kin. For example, this child belongs to the 12th kin. This kin has a lot of family lines. They are different. This, and this. I'm talking about genetics. Imagine they have different genetics, and the skin is destroyed. That's all. There is no kin anymore. This child's mother, grandmother can't incarnate. Then this child will be given to another kin to incarnate, because he or she must incarnate. But his or her DNA code, ethereal cover, don't correspond to the DNA of the other kin. Here genetic deviations begin. That's why if your child has any deviations, it is 100% that in the past incarnation his or her kin ended. This child was the last in the kin, and if this child was born on the 12th, he or she violently broke some kin's laws or traditions. It's a big problem for these people, because if they don't help relatives in this incarnation, they have problems in their families, bad relationships with mothers-in-law, and the future families, they give birth to deviant children. I often joke at the seminars To work out this program, you need to remember a fairy tale about Red Riding Hood. Lots of fairy tales tell us about karma. A mother asked her little daughter to go alone through a dark wood, where wolves lived, to help her grandma to bring her cakes. That's right. According to the 20th, you must do your best for the members of your kin, no matter how far they live. It's your task, as in the past incarnation you betrayed your kin. By the way, it's the curse on the kin. The more you help your relatives and close people, the more you remember about them, the better it'll be for you. Plus, a lot of people ask about genetics. If there are mixed marriages, we have 5 races, not nationalities, but races, only 5. And if you mix them, you give birth to a so-called hybrid or mutant. Why do you think geneticists and selectionists plead us to preserve our kin? Because you give birth to a baby who doesn't belong either to this or that kin and genetics. That's why, across 1 or 3 generations, the kin usually ends. There is no renewal in the kin. Why? Because there is no place for incarnation for his or her great-great-grandmother, and the kin hangs in the egregor, and these children will never reincarnate. It's worse than to incarnate and work out your karma. That's why our ancestors paid a lot of attention to telegony. You can watch about it in the videos of Peter Garyaev. What's his name? Peter Garyaev. Read about telegony, Ritter's laws, as these are very serious questions. Otherwise, your children can have serious problems with procreation, and you won't have a place to incarnate in the future. You won't have place here. The next is the 21st karma. People in the past incarnation betrayed their motherland. If you remember, I began my lecture with the words, "We returned from Thailand, where we lived, to publish a book in Russia." Why? We don't want the 21st Ekkanim in the future incarnation. We have a saying, "We're born there and handy." If you were born in the USSR and if you produce something, you must produce it here in the USSR. Those scientists who go abroad and patent their inventions abroad, and you know there are specialists in military sphere, they break the 21st Ekkanim. A man who denies serving the motherland, the army, will have the 21st Ekkanim in the future. Earlier or later, they'll be forced abroad. The motherland doesn't accept them. They'll have obstacles in the motherland, here in Russia, where they were born, or in the USSR. That's why they have to learn foreign languages. They have an aptitude to them, and earlier or later, via the marriages or work, they will be led to the international field. If they stay in Russia, they'll be deprived of everything, unfortunately. The 22nd Ekkanim is also very difficult, as karma is connected with children, often connected with abortion, slavery, aggression, unwillingness to have children. Those mothers of marked children, as you remember at the beginning of our lecture, limit their children's possibilities. All these things are under the 22nd Ekkanim. They were too rude to children in the past incarnation. In the present incarnation, these children as a rule have to be born in large families. Nowadays, it's not very popular to have such families. That's why these children have big problems. They are eager to communicate with coevals, because they had to have a lot of sisters and brothers, and in their childhood had to work out their negative past incarnation. They must have their own children, the more the better. They'll have success and wealth as soon as they have their first child. No matter whether it's a boy or a girl, the first task for them is the procreation. The more aggressive they treat their children in this incarnation, the harder will be their life in the incarnation in the present. Can you repeat one more time, please? Where? About procreation. Oh, it's difficult. The worse they treat their children in this incarnation, the worse their life will be in this incarnation. All the benefits they'll get from the moment of their child's birth. The more attention they pay to the children, the better. But there are people who have problems with procreation. Yes, for example, people born on the 22nd of September. There are some problems, and they have to be careful in this question. As concerns the karmic programs on birth dates, I told you about them. You know these dates. They are from the 14th to the 22nd Arcanum. That's why I'm ready to answer your questions. What if you were born on the 20th of September, but in the passport there is another date? A very good question. The fact is that when a child is born on one date, but in the passport there is another, there will be some difficulties in the future. It's important to know what date this person celebrates, because when you'll read in the book, you'll look at the two dates, and ironically, these two dates will suit this person. The main thing is to define. There are people who don't celebrate their birthdays, and it's wrong. You should choose one or another birth date, otherwise you yourself will spoil your life. Imagine there are two bare wires, and they are both live wires. The right program is according to the real birth date. You know, there are mothers who try to predict the birth of a baby and make a list of talents. I want the baby to be born earlier and have a talent. By the way, a writing talent is 4 times in the birth date. She wants her child to write books, but we don't take this. It's an occult numerology. We don't work with occult sides of numerology, because when you choose your baby's date of birth, you take a karmic responsibility, as every day has its own karma. You are unaware. What if you take a karma of a murderer? Astrologers don't know it, only numerology. That's why don't interfere. Let's take a mournful situation. For example, a baby was born dead, but in 2 or 1 day he or she became back to life. The doctors don't have rights to interfere in this process. I've told you already that if a child is very retrograde, his or her length of life is reduced in the 3rd incarnation. If on the 3rd spiral you made mistakes and you were cast away to the other spiral, you can lose up to 2,500 years. And in the next incarnation, your length of life will drop to 37 years. Some more violations, and you'll be cast away for another 2,500 years, and you'll live for 12 years only. If you do it the 3rd time, you can stay unborn. That's why it's necessary to know your program, and the program is in the book. Open and read your book. And what about the 1st up to the 9th? These dates are not karmic programs. Our theme is karmic birth dates. If a person was born on the 22nd and doesn't have children, can he or she adopt a child? Of course, this person has to take care at least of one child. But I pay your attention. If you work with such a person, you have to help him or her to choose a child with a soft karma, without murders, betrayal, breaking the law, fraud, and so on. Just a soft karma. What is better, the 18th or the 19th? Which date? The 19th is worse than the 18th. Please tell me if non-karmic dates and they don't work out. How to say non-karmic? They also have a karma. I have two concepts: an incarnation program and karma. You can have your incarnation task completed for 100%. If it is 25th, this date has a misbalance, as there are two managing planets. For example, the Neptune and the Jupiter. Two planets, and you have interpret according to the Neptune. Only it has the Jupiter as well. Don't forget about it. There are 4 main principles in numerology. Unfortunately, not all the numerologists follow all these principles. If you want to understand whether the program you wrote will work or not, it has to satisfy 4 principles. The first is the principle of sacredness. Every school of numerology has its own sacred numerals. The Western school has 9, tarot numerology has 22, matrix numerology 52, Kabbalistic have all the numbers, and so on. You mustn't go beyond this school. You mustn't go beyond the sacred numeral. Very often people use other numerals. That's wrong. The second principle is the principle of cyclicity. I'll give you an example. A person was born on the 25th. What do tarot numerologists do wrong? 25 is more than 22. They invent 2 plus 5. I'm sorry, but it's a break of sacredness because it's a numeral and these are figures. You can't sum up being a tarot numerology school, and the principle of cyclicity is also broken. Why? 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 doesn't correspond 25. Let's have a look why. It's seen according to the zodiacs. You have a wheel from 1 to 22. There is cyclicity. The 22nd sign must transfer to the first. It corresponds to the first. That's why when you have 25, you should subtract and get 3. Thus you get 23 minus 22 is 1, 24 is 2, 25 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 9. And again you come out with 9. It's the end of our numeral row. If you do like this, you skip. Look, according to the 23rd, you have 5, 6, 7, and then hop back to 4. The principle of cyclicity isn't maintained. A lot of methods, that's why they don't work. The next principle is the principle of solarize. A lot of mistakes on this level. What is solarize in astrology? For example, you were born on the 16th of March. It means all the cycles should start from the 16th of March. When you count the person's task in one or the other year, you sum up the numerals of the life path with the year that interests you. But the numeral of the life path isn't the beginning of a cycle. That's why this method isn't right. You can interpret it in the context of luck, but what is luck in one or the other year? And the last principle is very important. It's the principle of methods. If you have a method and the author wrote a particular context, you know, like an instruction to any equipment, use this instruction. Very often people ask me, can I use this or that instruction to the particular method? Yes, you can, but you'll make a mistake. If the author wrote the instruction, use it from the beginning to the end. Of course, you can enlarge, but you have to follow the author's manuscript. Do you have any questions? What is the time of changing the dates? Where is the beginning of another date? Some astrologists say that's not 12 a.m., but somewhere from 2 to 3 a.m. A signal from the satellite at the particular second of your birth. If it descended 1 or 2 days, your energy becomes less and less. That's why you get less energy. If you have an exact second of birth, take it as a point of interpretation. That is, the other day starts at 12 a.m. One more time, the principle of solarize. Your day of birth is the beginning of your cycle. From your birth second, all the cycles begin. Social, planet, karmic cycles, they all begin from the second of your birth. If you don't know the second of your birth, take at least the minute. It's the start of a new cycle. It's very important. When we count matrix cycles, we also start from your birth date. Is it from the point of view of astrology? It's numerology, astrology, physiognomy, palmistry, the same. I often say somebody likes prose and somebody poetry. Numerology is the tsarina of the esoteric sciences. It can move from one methodic to the other. It can build the charts. We are starting our practical part, and now I say goodbye to our TV viewers, and we are going on with you. Excuse me, can I ask you a question? Are there any individual paid lessons, extra lessons? Well, we'll talk about it after the lecture. There are differences between schools. How should we react? Yes, own methodics, sacral numerals. The contradictions are inevitable, right? No. If there are any, it means that you learned the material incorrectly. Those who attended our seminars know that every piece of information complements the other. Moreover, at the seminars we learn how to unite it. We have four cards: the card of birth, the card of subconsciousness, psychometrics, and the card inclusive. All these four cards should be on your table, and you interpret according to each square of the card. Not independently, only psychometrics, and forgot about numerology. This square answers for this square, and this and that. It gives an extensive image. It's more than 45 features, only according to the card of birth. There is a huge variety of subconscious talents and others, but you use only these. Plus, I haven't mentioned, there is one more principle. When you sum, multiply, subtract, you lose energy. Lose everything that is close to the source. It's to the figure, to your birth date. The more energy the sign has. What do we do in psychometrics? We do the plus when we count for the future incarnation, the minus when it's for the past incarnation. We do 2 to add the energy as we need to enter the past incarnation, and so on. At the seminar, we talk thoroughly about each sign in this formula. That's why in this situation, nothing contradicts to each other. What about people who become monks, men and women? It's another theme. Yes, it's another topic. Let's talk about our leaflets. Look, everyone has a sheet of paper, and there is a colorful sign. Do you see? It is red. Yes, in the second row. Somebody, for example, has the fifth sign. Do you see the sign? Yes. Here, in the second row. Have a look at all your leaflets. We have 20 minutes. I'll say about each sign. I don't know you. Somebody is familiar, of course, but not everyone. The sign is in front of you. You have 1 in red. You have 2. You have 2. Right. Tell me, do you see your signs on your leaflets? We don't have time. We have only 10 minutes left. So, look, not everyone has the opportunity to read. Let's start. There is a camera for YouTube. It is working. Let's start. As we have 22 signs, these are your mistakes in the past incarnation. This is what you must prevent in this incarnation. From this moment, your karma will act. Yes. So 1. In the past incarnation, I don't ask who it is. It's a rhetorical question. I'll tell you about all the signs, and next week you'll watch on YouTube, on our channel. It's called Julie Poor. You'll get the information. So let me tell you so that you can decode your information. 1. In the past incarnation, you betrayed your sister or brother. In this incarnation, you must serve their interests from the beginning. Show to those who is next to you. As far as I see, you have 4. Right, look. On the top you have 4. The next is 2. In the past incarnation, this person betrayed the mother. In this incarnation, this person must serve the interests of the mother, no matter how difficult it is. 3. In the past, the person didn't want to have children, at least no abortions, but unwillingness to have children. So you should build your relationships with the children in the right way. You can hardly get children, have problems with fertilization, and as a rule, women have big difficulties with their mothers-in-law. Tolerate. 4. In the past, this person whether lived for others' money or was a severe director. If in addition to this sign is Lilith in Leo or Lilith in Libra, it shows this person was a severe and despotic director. In this incarnation, this person can have problems with own director. 5. In the past, this person betrayed the father. You must serve the interests of the father, mustn't take offense. If this person has Lilith in Scorpio or in Sagittarius, it points to the fact that this person was connected with occult sciences. 6. In the past incarnation, this person cheated on the spouse. In this incarnation, this person will be cheated by the spouse, especially if this person cheats him or herself. 7. In the past, this person prevented other people to reach their aims, and in this incarnation, this person will be prevented. For example, he won't get the diploma if he wants. There can be problems with documents, with employment. You should forgive these people, as this person wasn't saint in the past. 8. Breaking the law. In the past, this person broke the law and wasn't sentenced to prison. There is a high risk to get into a jail in this incarnation. High risk of fraud, problems with documents. Law's fear is rather problematic. Moreover, these people shouldn't claim at the court. They will lose. There is a high risk, and if they win, they won't cash in it. 9. In the past incarnation, this person denied communicating with other people. Such people were lamas, religious people. They meditated and thought their knowledge was unnecessary. They were sitting on the mountain and thinking. In this incarnation, they can be put into a situation when they are not necessary. Indeed. 10. Serious financial crimes in the past incarnation. And by the way, very serious. There is a risk in this incarnation to have financial problems. Be careful with loans, buying or selling property. Be careful. The signs can't work at the moment of getting money. 15 minutes. We still have 15 minutes. 15. Where did I stop? 10. 11. In the past incarnation, this person misused psychophysical strength, pressed on other people, didn't hear them, could misuse the power. In this incarnation, this person will be the target of such misuse. The 12th sign. In the past incarnation, this person was too self-confident and didn't show mercy and kindness towards people. In this incarnation, you should be more careful. The 13th sign. Murdered or became a reason of the other person's death. The 14th sign was greedy, simple greediness. Such people could show selfishness and greed towards his or her family, left the family without earnings. The 15th arcanum. In the past incarnation, this person was involved in occult and magic actions without permission. At the seminars, we learn how to count permissions for a person. For those who have Lilith in Scorpio, points to sexual deviations in the past incarnation. The 16th. In the past, this person deprived other people of their possessions, could set houses on fire, destroyed them, was a black realtor. The 17th arcanum, as you know, it is an infringe of copyrights in the past incarnation. In this incarnation, there are possibilities to be annulled. The 18th sign isn't strong. It's fraud, cheating, misuse of the position in the society. The 19th sign is the misuse of power. It is corruption and use of the position in own purposes. The 20th is the kin betrayal, you know already. The 21st is the betrayal of motherland. The 22nd is the murder of children, abortions, misuse of communication with children, from the point of psychophysical influence. This sign as a rule means infertility. It's rarely for such people to conceive or give birth to a baby. If the baby was born, thankful to his or her parental feelings. So I've finished. Excuse me, what about the third? The sign didn't want to have children. And if the 22nd didn't have children, does it mean it is the end for the kin? Exactly, but if this person is loved by one child before the moment of conceiving, yes, it's possible. But how is it possible to correct the situation with one? No ways for you, as you don't have sisters or brothers. Please tell me about the fourth. You didn't mention how to correct the situation. According to the fourth, you have to work no matter what. These people don't want to work. If there are problems with career, often these people leave the attempts to get a promotion if there are difficulties. But your task is to move in advance and resist this sign. I say goodbye to you and thank you for coming. If you have questions, leave them on your website www.avasar.ru. Excuse me, how to read the charts? The blue line is a career. If it goes up, there is a development. And now I say goodbye and welcome to our next lectures and seminars.